I was pretty busy lately because my car caused me a little bit of an issue because I had to go to the checkup, to traffic checkup here in Sweden, and it passed, but I had to fix a couple things first, steering wise, changing out bushings and whatever. The car is 25 years old, so it tends to create some issues when you start trying to, you know, put in new parts and whatever, something else doesn't work afterwards, or just some bolts don't want to come out. So I had to actually do some welding and all that kind of shit, which is pretty annoying. It takes a lot of time because you don't want to fuck it up, especially me, since I'm not a car mechanic, so I'm just learning by doing and watching YouTube clips and all that kind of stuff. But also, I finally fixed my ATV, so I had my first run with the dogs. Now they ripped out the road that I directly starting on, basically. So I kind of have to wait a little bit until they fix the cable that they want to put in there. Speaking of the cable, I'm gonna get some electricity soon, which is kind of nice. Right now, I'm just using, power banks and whatnot, and start up the stove and just have my laptop in here and whatnot. It all works out, but I always have to go over to my friends and, recharge everything and whatnot, So soon I'm gonna have constant electricity in here. Thus, I will also build myself a better kitchen, which will also include electricity. Means I will have a stove and whatnot, and just get a little bit away from the Primus cooker that I'm using. The fumes, even though you use refined gas and gasoline and whatnot, it still, creates a little bit of an issue, even though you're in a big tent. But it's also just a lot less noisy, But to what I built here, 2 years was pretty much like was enough of a time to live in a really crappily set up tent and whatnot, So it's good to actually improve upon that, especially because the middle post setting created some problems when having heavy snowfall and whatnot. I actually came home one day from work and I actually had to start stitching the tent up because the middle pole, the attachment, that is just some canvas stuff or polyester stuff, just a hose basically. Uh, and that one ripped apart, so I had to fix it. And I had the problem once on Svalbard where that happened the first time. I had to just do it out in the field, basically fix it while it was really windy. So it happened again, and with dental floss and just some patience, I finally managed to fix it. Now I built a whole frame around it, lifted the whole thing up about half a meter. Now with the 10 centimeters of insulation, which I got for free. It's styrofoam plates that are used for concrete insulation. I got that for free, So and now the floor is actually roof panels, like just the roof panels that you put on and then slap the actual metal roof or whatever you want to use it on top of it, So cheap. I actually got those parts all for free as well. So it's just salvaging whatever you can. Some parts. Obviously, all the boards, they don't really match, but who gives a shit? It doesn't really matter. At least not for me. And with the floor and everything done, and the side walls, I still gonna do a little bit of some of the 70 by 34, 32. I always forget. I will have to get a couple more to actually stabilize the whole thing here a little bit. You see here it's a little bit wobbly still. Perfectly fine for now, but I'm gonna do a little bit more like stabilizing the whole system. The middle pole is still there because it kind of like works quite well, because I have the pressure from the middle and then I have pressure on the outside that just stabilizes the whole thing basically, which I think is quite okay to do that. Stabilizes it pretty much. I still need to get a new stove, but that I actually contacted the company, but they seem to be rather shitty in responding, so I'm probably gonna get a used one or whatever, like a little bit nicer one. Not so much like money wise, maybe 300 euros or whatever, and then the piping to it, so you end up at 500 euros, which is quite a lot, but given the fact that you want to have a proper stove in the winter, it's good to have. For now, I'm still gonna use my crappy hair sport that is really, really beaten up, but yeah, when you use stuff on a regular basis, that's just how it is. Anyway, I still have those lines, to have some, dry up the clothes and everything, because you have to have it a little bit higher so the warmth can actually, dry everything up when you put it on the bottom. It doesn't really work well, the stove doesn't really have that ground. Even though it's insulated, it's still fairly cold on the ground anyway. The whole plateau is lifted up so air can circulate underneath. So all um, the pallets that I used, it was I think 32 or 34 or something like that. Those don't start to rotten away right away. So they're on concrete stone blocks with tar paper over it, so the moisture stays where it is. And then I just since I didn't have enough stones, I had to use wood plates. I just cut up some boards and whatever, and then started stacking it up, and that's gonna work perfectly fine. I mean, I'm not gonna live here for like another 20 years in a tent, but for the next 2 or 3 years or whatever, that's perfectly fine to use, and then we see what happens. I'm not getting old. I'm not getting any younger, so I also have to think a little bit about that. Anyway, um, the door was the next project. I finished it up this weekend. I still have to put some tar paper over it, or some roof paper, which we actually have. I just need to put it on. You just staple it on and fix up the sides so the water doesn't run in, and then that project is done. So then kitchen is the next project. I'm gonna do another video about it pretty soon, when I actually order the parts and actually start putting it together. And then where the camera is situated right now, there's gonna be a table with like 2 chairs or something like that, and so I can actually have someone inside here having coffee or whatever, and actually having a workstation, not just sitting in my bed and just clacking away. So it's quite good. By the way, the stones, I use those because we have them laying around here, and before they just totally disappear, I thought I'm just getting a bunch of them inside here to actually soak up some warmth when the stove is running, and then just preserve it a little bit. Um, if it helps, I don't know. We'll see. But the actual most important part for me was to actually have another layer of this is wind protection. When you build a house, you usually put that on, and then you slap the overall cover on it. When you build a wooden house. So this is a little bit impregnated. It has it's breathing out. It has it's wind proof from the outside, and then it breathes out. It actually works really well because the canvas that I have, the canvas tent, is quite old. I'm gonna have to impregnate it at some point, but it's so expensive, so I thought like I'm just skipping that for this year, and maybe next year I have to clean it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna slap some stuff on it. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. To be continued. And hopefully this winter is not going to be that bad, because last winter was actually tough. Having 1.5, 2 months of like -15 to -30 was pretty rough, actually. With the ground cold as well and whatnot. It's rough when you live that way. I can tell you that much. Everybody's always like, oh wow, fancy, now and whatnot. But the insulation is still shit, regardless of the floor. But it's a life choice, obviously, lifestyle choice. But it's rough at times. I can tell you that much. Especially when you're a person who's not very active. you it's really hard to do that because you have to move. You know, you have to keep moving. You can't just have the stove running like hell. I mean, I had 5 big sacks of firewood, and they were all gone. You know, by the end of the season, and that is a lot of wood. You know, if you have a house where you have like a normal, like, you know, um, whatever central heating or whatever you have, you know, and then you just put on the stove once in a while, you know, you maybe go through 2 bags or something like that. You know, those big 1.5 cubic meters. Uh, I burned 5, and then I'm not the person who's putting on the stove in the morning. I never do. I just do that in the evening. You know, when I'm like, you know, settling down for bed and you know, start watching half a movie or whatever. I just put that on. You know, when I have to wash myself or wash some clothes and whatever. Then obviously I have the stove starting every evening. But um, regardless of that, you know, it's not on during the day or in the evening, in the mornings. You know, when I have coffee or whatever, because it's not worth it. It takes a while to heat up, you know, and then it just burns through so much more wood, you know. So since there is no insulation really, you know, so it's not really worth it. So we will see how this winter will go. I will soon pick up some firewood, stack it up, you know, and then have that one done. And then it's time to prep for the winter. And you're gonna see some more footage of the dogs running pretty soon. Stay tuned.